Congress Party General Secretary Keshav Rao is joining us from Hyderabad on this debate tonight. Meenakshi Lekhi represents the BJP point of view. Kumar Ketkar, Chief Editor of Daily Divya Marathi of the Bhaskar Group. My first question is to Pawan Kumar Verma. I think this panel is evenly divided. Now, Pawan Kumar Verma is advisor to the Chief Minister of Bihar, Nitish Kumar. Mr. Verma, good evening. You know, I just want to be sure.
Good evening.
Please don't take it otherwise, but I want to be sure that the concerns that are being expressed by Mr. Nitish Kumar, by the BJP and all the other parties are not basically political concerns, turf battles, rather than genuine concerns. Because Nitish Kumar, in a letter to the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, in February 2012 said that under the NCTC, the Intelligence Bureau with no accountability to Parliament was flawed. Now, Mr. Verma, the government has reworked that proposal, even Meenakshi will agree with me, and has brought the NCTC under the Home Ministry and is therefore accountable to Parliament. So, basic reason why Nitish Kumar was opposed to NCTC is gone. Why is he still opposing it?
No, I think, Arnab, I need to clarify. No one can oppose an effective national response to terrorism, and certainly not a person like Nitish Kumar, who gave law and order the first priority in the state of Bihar, and the results are verifiable. When the proposal came up, he raised a concern about the question of structure, the question of accountability, the question of powers, the question of jurisdiction. There were flaws in the way the proposal was put forward. He said that this is not a question of center versus state. It is a national issue, but the manner in which a proposal of this nature should be presented should involve cooperation with the states so that these issues are resolved.
So, but the issue has been resolved, hasn't it?
About the IB in particular, if you want to know about the IB in particular, Arnab, you do know that the proposal as originally presented had a deputy director in IB heading the NCTC.
I am telling
Where is the
I agree, but it's gone.
And as far as the powers go, there were powers of seizure, search and warrant and arrest. Where they raise serious issues of jurisdiction.
So I know.
You know,
I know your objection. The primary objection was about the NCTC being placed under the Intelligence Bureau, and the Intelligence Bureau is basically designed to tasked to carry out covert executive action, and you had concerns about that. But the government took it away. The government changed that.
Now that now that the government has taken it away, and the former Home Minister mooted the idea of working out standard operating procedures, SOPs, I think it's time to consult the states, but do it in a manner which respects the sensitivities of state. Use the anti-terrorism squads in the states, embed them in the state police, have a process of consultation, because this is a sensitive matter. Arnab, you will understand that if presented hastily or not sufficiently worked out, there can be gross misuse.
Let's get a couple of points of view. Let's get Keshav Rao of the Congress first, then I'm coming to you. Keshav Rao, discuss it. Don't impose it on state governments like this. There is an obvious problem of trust that is emerging here now.
To start with, I'm no more General Secretary. Now, the question
You're a senior Congress leader. Yes, please continue.
All of us, yeah, it is all right. But the question is, no one today is denying about the need for a joint onslaught on terrorism. Over. Now, all that what I could see from the Bihar's point of view is, initially when we really were finalized the model, we did not consult, or they did not take onto the board all the respective states. Well, this is their allegation. Now, second comes, what they are saying is the clubbing of the NCTC with IB, with the right to arrest or right to seizures and whatever it is. They have their own apprehensions, but as the Bihar friend has very rightly said, it is time we rework out this and see that there is an understanding, because after the Hyderabad, I'm telling you, I can give the example to them about Hyderabad. The moment the NIA came, NSG came, when this coordination started, within 2 days, they could track down the man from Bihar, man from Nepal border, man from Calcutta, man from Bangalore, and all these things. This kind of a collection data was there. They were collating it, but there was no, they were analyzing it. There was no operational joint action.
Sir,
So this kind of a thing perhaps would be available once you have some agency. But at the same time, the
sir, you
appraisal of state
objected to
cannot be ruled
POTA.
out.
Sir, you also,
Whether-
you objected to POTA.
Yes,
You called
I-
it, if I'm
that's why
not
I said you are-
mistaken,
the
no,
objectives
if
of-
I'm not mistaken, you called it absolutely draconian. And then you repealed it after you came into
I
power.
still hold that. No,
Right?
Mr. Anand, I still hold that stand. That is why I said whenever we are working on things like this, as things change, as social strategies change, we need to take the opposition control and their apprehensions into.
Sir, soon after
On board,
26/11,
without
let me not
their
remind you, after 26/11, you amended the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act and you brought back all the clauses of POTA except two. After you repealed POTA, you said your approach to terror was preemptive. In other words, you have no standard policy in fighting terror, Mr. Keshav Rao. There is no consistency.
That is why what. No,
There is
it
no
it is
consistency
not
that
the
you
law.
have.
There have to be checks and balances. No, there have to be checks and balances. Whether you have a parliamentary oversight for it, or you have some kind of independent agency which will look after, evaluate the functioning of these things, is a very serious issue. What the opposition CMs are saying, it cannot just be brushed aside. I totally agree with them. Today, BJP has taken a stand. They are not per se against it, but few of the basic sensitive items which concern the constitution.
Don't be
the
rigid.
Functioning,
Yeah.
operational functioning of
Okay.
the functioning. See, they need to be done.
So basic point is don't be rigid, Meenakshi Lekhi. Don't be rigid. You know, these laws are not so sweeping that they work against the interest of the people of India. So Arun Jaitley, for example, is questioning powers of search, seizure and arrest. You would know, and I'm sure Mr. Jaitley would also appreciate, that these powers of search, seizure and arrest will only happen in case of an urgency. In rare cases, but that leverage must be given.
No. When is the urgency going to happen? Can anyone predict with certainty?
Who will decide?
The basic
Who will decide?
objection
Will
is
the
that
BJP
this is
decide?
a good concept. NCTC is a good concept, but it's a very bad design. It's a flawed design and flawed structure which is taking place. Nowhere in the world intelligence agencies are given the operational powers as decided by the present Congress government. And when you were pointing out the flaws that they retained in Unlawful Activities Act, they have retained virtually POTA except two.
Yeah, so
the policy of Congress is basically running with the hares and hunting with the hounds. So on one side they will have tie-ups with Naxals, on the other side with ULFA, and then in 26/11 they bring out NIA. NIA is doing some political work and not doing
you don't oppose NIA?
work. Now the question,
you don't oppose NIA? The NIA has similar powers.
I oppose NIA's operational capacity. In fact, NSG also has the same operational capacity. And when we are talking of NCTC, you're talking constantly. I've been hearing the model of US and UK is quoted without failure. Now, if US and UK is to be cited, please understand the model on which they work. The model on which they work is basically they have fusion centers. On those fusion centers, and 72 of them, and they are top-class analysts working there. 600 in US and 300 in UK. Now, you don't appoint all that. You don't want to do any of those things. You are asking about. Allow me to complete. No. You pick up officers. How is Delhi's special cell different from NIA? I think Delhi's special cell was better than NIA. They countered more terrorist cases as compared to NIA. NIA has caught 2 IM operatives in 4 years, 3 years of their existence. 4 or 5 years of their existence.
Meenakshi Lekhi, you're not being objective.
How can you take away states' powers?
Nobody is taking away the state's powers.
Away from the,
nobody is taking away the state's powers. The NIA. I'm sorry, Meenakshi Lekhi. Again, I'm going to have to lock horns with you. I don't believe you are being completely objective in this. The NIA has also got similar powers by which it can conduct operations in any state. When there is no objection to that, why does NCTC evoke such a fierce debate? Because you are.
Who says there is no objection? Who says there is no objection?
Well, it is functioning.
Go back to 2008 when the proposal for NCTC was brought in.
Well, let's get other view. Kumar Ketkar wants to come.
Was brought in. There was
okay,
there was
1 minute.
Specific demand
okay,
by
1 second.
3 committees. Allow me to complete one line. That 3 committees suggested that multitask agencies should be brought up to NCTC level. And now, instead of taking away the data and other intelligence jobs, you want them to conduct raids.
Well, I think you are.
Be, alerting
well,
other
I don't know. I just am asking because I want to be completely sure that you're not picking up the issue because you think that it's going to work very well and ring a right bell among potential allies like BJD or existing allies like the JDU. Let's get Kumar Ketkar in. Kumar Ketkar is responding to the Congress to the BJP perspective.
I think the issues that are considered to be procedural are actually political. They are not in question of principle. Everybody in principle seems to be agreeing that there is necessity for NCTC, and the procedural problems are raised are actually political problems because of the fear that the Congress or the BJP might be using it for their partisan interests. So it is the fear that it will be used for partisan interests that is what stops it. I think NCTC is essential. I think is agreed by all the political parties, but they are afraid that they may be completely overwhelmed by the centers, particularly Congress, or if the BJP is in power, BJP. Actually, POTA acted the same way, and Congress opposition to POTA was in the same category, just as today's BJP is opposing the NCTC. I think there is enough space for all the parties to come together and sort out the procedural problems of NCTC. But Meenakshi Lekhi, I am not opposing you. Please, why don't you understand? I am merely saying that NCTC's procedural problems.
How is POTA similar?
No, I am not saying POTA is similar. I am saying. I am actually endorsing you that opposition to POTA to a certain extent was a political problem. Similarly, the quoting of United States and UK is quite tendencious. Quoting United States and UK is quite tendencious because everybody knows in US the anti-terrorist complete intelligence is handled by the federal government. That is the US government. So what is the problem? NCTC may not be necessarily directly equivalent to what is happening in US, but it is necessary to understand that NCTC is essential. I will tell you the hyper-federalism, only one point, hyper-federalism.
What is hyper-federalism?
Hyper-federalism.
What is hyper-federalism? We have a new phrase on the Newshour tonight. Hyper-federalism. Yes, go on. Define hyper-federalism.
Hyper-federalism is trying to assert the so-called federal rights to such an extent that it undermines the national integrity. That is my point. Hyper-federalism has led to disintegration of Soviet Union and Yugoslavia. This we have seen in our own eyes just 20 years ago. I think hyper-federalism has to be stopped, and the unitary structure, Union Republic of India has to be maintained. NCTC can be definitely corrected with all the procedural problems.
I am amazed.
Even Meenakshi Lekhi is raising. They may be legitimate.
I am amazed.
I am amazed. Raised by Arun Jaitley and Meenakshi Lekhi can be understood.
I am amazed.
Can be taken care of.
I am amazed because I have heard before.
I'm going to read out what is the function of NCTC and similarly the joint operations in UK, and I'm going to read out the statement of objectives.
Can I please, before you read that out, I'm finding this fascinating. I have heard before that, in politics things change, that entire celestial cycle is completed in a few days. But what I find fascinating here is that the Congress party and the BJP have changed positions in 4 years. Anybody watching the Newshour debate will say, what happened to these two parties? Wasn't it true that in September 2008, the Congress party said, what do you mean by tough anti-terror laws? Our laws are tougher than those in the US and the UK. Today, when I raised what is happening in the US and the UK, exactly the same thing in another context is put to me by Meenakshi Lekhi. Am I wrong, Mr. Verma?
No, you see, Arnab, let me tell you one thing. Former Home Secretary Gopal Pillai said in a public interview that it took the Cabinet Committee on Security 13 months to read the discussion paper prepared by the Home Ministry on the NCTC. It was mooted in 2008, brought about in 2011, and I'm sorry to say, for a matter as critically important as terrorism, that the spade work that was required was not done. You are dealing with the abrogation in practice of a constitutional division of powers between the center and state. We are not going to make a bogey of the center-state issue, but you've got to carry the states in terms of consultation, in terms of working out how the NIA and the NSG will interface with the anti-terrorism squads in the state, work with the state police.
That's going to be utterly bureaucratic.
Because there are sensitivities.
That is going to make it utterly bureaucratic. Bureaucratic.
Let me say, Arnab, to you, no, not at all bureaucratic. In fact, that is the only effective way of carrying people on board and working out an effective standard operating procedure to make it function. Otherwise, you've seen the consequences.
So your principal objection was about the NCTC's ability to carry out counter-terror operations on its own, independent of a state police organization. So that's your principal point, that you want to fight terror. So you are saying today, one minute. Let me give you one.
Yes.
So you are saying today, you want to fight terror, come to the Bihar police. For example, let's take in the context of Bihar. A terrorist comes to operating out of Bihar, send us an application in quadruplet. Call up the Bihar police. We will see if there are necessary approvals which need to be given.
You are caricaturing the argument.
Am I?
I'm sorry to
This
say
is
you are
not the way.
caricaturing
This
the
is not
argument.
exactly what is being discussed.
The NCTC,
Yeah, absolutely.
the NCTC bill itself talks of anti-terrorism squads. You have anti-terrorism units within the state police which can be honed to coordinate with the NCTC in order to work in an effective and smooth manner and have the full backing of the state.
Sir, what it says...
Today the Home Ministry has itself admitted that there was not enough coordination and consultation with the states.
Sir, but
There's
the rework
nothing wrong
proposal
in
has
this.
been sent.
If a mistake is admitted, and we start afresh. This quadruplet business is your interpretation.
No.
There are ways of functioning.
No, 1 minute, Mr. Verma. I'm not caricaturing anything, but I am debating this point with you and Meenakshi Lekhi, because yes, Meenakshi, you are ignoring the reworked proposal.
Can I answer?
No, you. I'll just quote one part.
No, I'm not ignoring. On the contrary, I'm saying rework proposal is again a caricature of what is being demanded even by the committees. What I'm trying to emphasize is that a confusion is sought to be created on the intelligence agency's job as compared to the counter-terrorism job. Now, counter-terrorism job necessarily has to be the job of the state police, which has to be supported by the center to carry out those operations. And when we talk about NCTC model of the US or the UK, I want to bring on record what is the statement of objective of those two places. And
one second. Let's not digress. I'm on a point on the rework proposal.
Very important. What are we talking about?
I'm looking at the rework proposal.
Are we talking about a counter-terrorism activity and take it away from the intelligence activity?
No, one second. Meenakshi Lekhi, let's look at the rework proposal.
Is to collate data from different centers.
No, let's debate this.
And collate it. And
let's debate it because
officer or the DGP of the state to head that.
No, 1 second. Let's debate it because
sitting in Delhi is going to control the entire nation. You think it is workable with the geography of India, with the differences of languages, with all the intelligence? Because a terrorist sitting in Andhra Pradesh is speaking some other language than somebody else.
Are there not links beyond states? What about the Red Corridor? What about the links between terror groups? Isn't this so-called Indian Mujahideen operating in multiple states?
Absolutely. The Red Corridor, let me bring it on record. When Mr. Chidambaram took over as the Home Minister, he sounded so serious about controlling the Red Corridor terrorism. And thereafter, a particular article gets published in the internal magazine of Congress Party by the chairperson of UPA, and he changes tracks.
No, you are not. You see, no, one second. One second.
But the advice is coming from some people sitting in her personal office.
I think there is a grave problem of trust. There is a severe problem of trust that is now emerging. And suppose I ask Keshav Rao.
Forget the trust. Talk about talk about intelligence sharing of intelligence.
Yeah, so
you think sharing
why
of
do we
intelligence
want to
can happen
why
in
do we
this fashion?
Meenakshi, why do we want to keep cribbing about what's not happening? I'm afraid, Mr. Pawan Verma, you made an unfair allegation that I'm trying to caricature things.
Just come
one
to
minute.
How is this going to be functional?
One minute. Pawan Verma says that, Arnab, you are trying to caricature it when I talked about the red tapeism which will come up in the course of trying to share information between ATSS, state police and all. Now, my question here is, look at the rework proposal. The reworked proposal says that in normal course, arrest, search, seizure shall be carried out by the ATS or any other police units of the state concerned. However, in situations where immediate action is required or intelligence inputs, officers of the NCTC may arrest or search the seizure without informing the local police.
Why?
Why not?
My question will be why?
Why not?
Why
not?
Because even today,
to stop a terror attack from happening.
No, why?
Okay,
why?
let's open this up.
I'm sorry. A terror attack can be stopped more effectively by the state police, which can reach there in 5 minutes.
What if the state police says no?
NSG commandos.
What if the state police says no?
No. I'm sorry.
Why
will state police say no? Why? I would rather counter you. Eight encounters happened in Gujarat within a certain period.
So you are saying the anti-terror squad? No, one second. You are saying the anti-terror one. I'll counter you.
You start investigating through CBI. You think this is the manner in which you want to control terror?
Well, I mean, if the anti-terror squads,
this particular information came from
Keshav Rao, you are hearing the argument here. I am going deep into the argument only to expose the fact that you have not done your groundwork either. I mean, look at, there are all state governments arraigned there against you. If you were on the other side, Mr. Keshav Rao, you would be singing the same tune that the BJP and the JDU are tonight.
Same tune like but now in a reworked arrangement, these things are being addressed. Let me tell you number one.
Okay.
Now all that Leki is saying is what I'm only opposing the designing. The design is being now changed. I totally agree. Without the local police cooperation, who knows the terrain, who knows the logistics, who knows the language, who knows the culture, you can't do anything. But today, at the same time, you must be realistic. The police, in a local police, always doesn't have that kind of a political will or that kind of a will in fighting determinedly the terrorist activity. The other thing I can understand.
1 minute, Meenakshi, let him complete.
Any sort of this interference.
What?
No.
In any this kind of a lack. See, let us say the communal activity in Hyderabad.
Terrorism? I mean, you're blaming all the chief ministers?
No, interference. No, please understand. What are you talking?
I don't understand.
What I said,
you come up in a tie-up with MIM. I don't know, maybe it's happening in Andhra Pradesh. I do not think a similar example exists anywhere else.
So why is your urgency gone away today? Where is the urgency with which you spoke about Pota a few years back, Meenakshi Lekhi? Why is that urgency gone?
No.
I am not talking about urgency. I am saying it's imminent.
I am asking you.
And I think the country needs to work. At the same time, you can't get operational duties, prevention duties, intelligence duties to the same agency.
If
you are making a monster. Instead of this, there has to be checks and balances as enshrined even in the Constitution of India. You can't have a body which is against the Constitution.
Well, let me tell you one thing, Meenakshi Lekhi. The National Investigation Act 2008 already provides for the handing over of an investigation or any offence under the NIA and further empowers the NIA to arrest. If there were no objections to the NIA, why these vociferous objections to the NCTC now? And the safeguards have been put in place now. And I'm asking you tonight. I
happened to be present in court number 2 when Justice Kabir was heading that bench, and he specifically asked the government of India,
it's been 11 terror attacks. 11 terror attacks.
Please 11
terror attacks.
This particular enactment.
Kumar,
you think with NIA coming in, 11 acts have gone down?
Well, 11 terror attacks have happened in 4 years. I don't know whether the people of this country will accept that as the politicians keep fighting these terror attacks, it would not have been averted.
That's exactly my problem. Because
One second. Kumar Ketkar.
No, actually this
Kumar
you are
Ketkar.
going to argue about something where intelligence and operations are always kept separate
Kumar
across
Ketkar.
the world.
Kumar
I
Ketkar,
don't
3
think
minutes on the debate. Kumar Ketkar.
I don't think there is a
So I'm
clearly...
sure we don't want to copy Pakistan.
I don't think there is a clear defining line between operation and intelligence, and nor is it a clear defining line between the
Oh,
state
there is.
governments which are Congress run or non-Congress run, and therefore the federalism argument is very weak. The terrorism question has been already identified globally as international one, and actually even in the BRICS, they are going to discuss the terrorism issue where Prime Minister is going to be present. So it is international, not only state. It is state, center and international, and so why are we cribbing about this? Let us recognize that the terrorism question is not limited to state, is not limited to center, it is international question, and therefore if BRICS is going to discuss that in the Durban meeting a few weeks from now, why should we not?
My last question is to Pawan Verma. Pawan Verma, you say that this could potentially be misused. If I were to counter that by asking you that if it were to be misused, the people of this country will stand up and speak out against the misuse. Because it would be done in the name of protecting the people of this country from acts of terrorism. If in a single case, I were to argue, if in a single case a government were to misuse an NCTC to serve a political function, the people would act as a deterrent.
And also media, I don't think it is a Congress and non-Congress issue. It is not a Congress and non-Congress, certainly not Congress and non-Congress BJP issue. It is an issue, it is a national issue and national terrorism issue. I don't think procedural questions can be easily sorted out.
Mr. Verma.
No, Arnab, let us be clear. It is only an apprehension that a badly designed act can be misused.
So it's a procedural question, Mr. Verma. It's a procedural question. It's not political. It is being made a political. But Mr. Verma, it is being made a political question. Actually, it's a procedural question.
The central question here is that the nation must unite against the fight against terrorism. For that, it is imperative that the center works with the states and as part of a vehicle which is supported by both. That requires detailed spade work and consultations to have both parties on board. That has not been done. Let us devise the new standard operating procedures.
He told the top Indian intelligence officers at a conference that giving NCTC anything beyond the function of integration of inputs would be unworkable in view of heavy responsibility.
Who are you quoting?
And the job is to collate intelligence.
Who are you quoting?
Yes, I'm quoting. I'm quoting.
Who did you just quote?
Director of National Intelligence of US, who works for NCTC, second highest officer in the US intelligence.
Well, the provisions have been revised. I urge everyone. I think it's
even the revised provisions are not good one.
Well, I think that you will have to move forward at one point of time. The situation is, you are the party which said extraordinary situations call for extraordinary measures. That was the core and the fulcrum and the center point of your argument on Pota. Let's see where the debate goes. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for debate number 2 on the Newshour tonight.